Hello, precious one. Today we want to talk about the principles of child upbringing. The principles of child upbringing. Now, Bible says in Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6, it says that train up a child the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Train up the child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Now, parents must understand that what their children become is dependent on the training, the kind of training that they receive from them. And so my principle is that whatever a child will become is dependent on the parent. If the parent wants the child to become responsible, you can train the child to be responsible. If a parent decides to neglect their responsibilities and not to train the child in the way they want them to go, they will not move according to that tangent. And so whatever training you give the child will be a reflection of what his life or her life would be in the future. So here are the principles. Number one, your priority for your children is to bring them up in the fear of the Lord. Every parent should know it at the back of their minds that the first priority when it comes to training their kids is to ensure that they train them in the fear of the Lord. Remember, children are not yours. God gave them to you as a gift. And every giver of a gift expects the gift to be taken good care of, such that a day of accountability would come that you would be required to give account of the gift that you received from God. And so when it comes to training kids, the first priority should be that your children are trained in the image of the Lord, in the fear of the Lord. Things like going to church should become a part and parcel of the children. They must know that when it is time for church, nothing replaces that. They must know that act of righteousness, act of doing good are things that God actually requires them to do. Children must be trained in the image of God. Ephesians chapter 4 verse 6 says, fathers, bring them up in the nature and in the admonition of the Lord. Bring them up. So a father has the responsibility to bring the child up in the fear and in the admonition of the Lord. Number two, your environment trains your child more than you do. Your environment, the environment that you find yourself, the environment that you are bringing the children in, that environment has the capacity to train the child, your child, more than you do. So every parent must be mindful of which environment they place their children in. When we talk of environment, we are talking about the area in which you live. If you're a Christian, for instance, and you live in a Muslim community, remember that your environment will turn your child into a Muslim. If the school that your children attend, if it's an environment, it's a form of environment, the kind of people in the school, the kind of teachers in the school, the things that they learn are able to shape their thinking and mentality more than the parents would even do. So which school have you placed your children in? Who are their friends? All these form a part of the environment. What kind of friends or associations do your children have? Television programs. What kind of television programs do you allow your children to watch? They frame the mindset of these children. Internet, the computer, is also able to frame the mindset and to give the children a kind of mindset. And so you have to be mindful of all these things. So all these things form a part of the environment. And so every parent must be responsible for the kind of environment that their children are growing in. If you are not comfortable with the things that are in and around the environment that you live, don't place your child there, because they have the ability to train your child even more than you do. Number three, training must be done consciously. It must be a focused attempt. You must do it consciously. You must arrange things that you are training your children in. You must be specific when it comes to training children. So for instance, you train your child to attend church regularly. The child must understand that Sundays are for church. You train your child to have their quiet times every day. You make the child understand that this is what you are going to do every day. It must become a part and parcel of them. You must train your children to pray. Specifically, you teach them how to pray. Sometimes I wake up my children and I tell them, say, Father, I thank you for the gift of life. Thank you. Today my day is blessed. Everything I do shall turn into blessing. I am teaching the children how to pray. It must be specific and it must be focused. You train them to work hard at all times and at everything they do. Okay, so you let the children understand that when it comes to hard work, your hard work forms you. You are a result of hard work. So let the children know the importance of hard work. You must be specific. Okay, and then you train them to be God conscious at home. So you are not only good when it comes to church, but when you are also home and in at school, you are also good. So let them understand that godliness must not only be practiced at the church, but it can also be practiced both at the home and at school. These are specific trainings that you give to the children. Don't leave your training to generics and say it is good to be a good boy, it is good to be a good girl, and then you end there. You must be specific. What exactly do you want them to know? What exactly are the practices do you want them to adopt? That is how to train the children. Now, parents must also understand that constant warning that is never followed up does not work. If you keep on warning your kids, stop, don't do this, you will end up becoming like this, and you don't follow them up to ensure that they are actually tilting to what you want them to do, the direction you want them to go, then you must know that it's not going to work. So you must also discipline and reprimand your children whenever it is necessary. Don't be afraid to use the cane or the belt when it is necessary. And couples must protect themselves when one of them is correcting their children. So for instance, your child became disrespectful to your wife. You must protect your wife before your child. Let the child know before your wife that never you ever do that to your mother again. Okay, so all the time, children must know that their parents are united when it comes to training. Otherwise, it will not work. If the wife is saying go to this direction and the husband is saying go to the other direction, you must know that you are making a mistake. It's not going to work. That give the children the opportunity to express themselves. Now, many a time there are parents who are full of the do's and the don'ts. Sleep, wake up, do this, do that, without giving the children the opportunity to express themselves. So for instance, you ask your child to do something and then he felt like he doesn't want to do it. You ask the child why. Because sometimes, for all you know, they might have some peculiar reasons why they don't want to take a certain direction. And by asking them, you are able to understand and give them the opportunity to also make their choices. Okay, so it is not all the time that you allow them to go their own way, but give them the opportunity to express themselves and to give you reasons why they don't want to take a certain direction. That one would help you to take a firm decision. Okay, so that if you are making a mistake, because parents also do make mistakes. So if you are making a mistake with a child, by allowing the child to express themselves, you are able to know and correct yourself. And if the child too is wrong, you are able to know what is on their mind and correct them so that they will take on the right step. So it is very important that we allow the children to express themselves in the home. There are times you ask the children, what do you think about this? I want to move this direction. What do you think? What do you think? What would you have me do? Let the children feel a part and parcel of the family, especially when it comes to decision making. Let them feel a part. You must not necessarily take what they are saying, but by just knowing that my father seeks my opinion in terms of taking decision, that thing alone is able to give them a right frame of mind to develop well and to become great in future. You have to understand that children learn more by example than by what you say. Children learn more by example than by what you say. And so you practice everything that you want your children to do. For instance, you want your children to wake up at 5 a.m. every day, yet you wake up at 6. It's not going to work. Children must see you waking up at 5. You want your children to become church goers and go to church regularly, yet when it comes to Sundays, you are sleeping. You are not teaching them. So you teach children by example. It works more effectively than when you teach them by your voice or by talking. Let the children know that you have their back. Let the children know that you have their back. Let the children know that you are their number one fan and that you support them. When you do that, they are able to open up anytime something there's a problem. They want to share with you. But if you always keep on withdrawing, they will not come to you. And that is the time that they will resort to advice from friends. And by the time you realize their character has changed, and you wonder how they picked up such character, where they picked up such character from. And so be involved in their lives and make them understand. Sometimes you have to tell them that I have your back. If anything comes up, let me know. So by doing that, you raise the children's confidence to come to you to talk about any issue that they might want to talk about. Children are a blessing. God gave them to us, but we have a responsibility to take care of them and to train them in the image of the giver of that gift, which is God. And so these are some of the principles that I felt to share with you. Pray for your children. Pray for your children. There are times I lay my hands on them. I go to their room and I lay my hands on them and I prophesy over them what I want them to become. Those are some of the things that you can do. And by doing all these things, your children will grow into the image of the Lord and become whoever God has ordained them to become. God bless you.